There's a specific kind of pain that comes from lying in your childhood bedroom at 27 years old, staring at the same ceiling you stared at when you were 16. You're not necessarily in a bad spot in life, especially if you zoom out and look at what's going on in the world. The problem is, you're still exactly where you started, stuck in limbo in your mid-20s, in your childhood home, watching your life not move. You're not completely broke, but you're not thriving either, just stuck in place. I only know all of this because I'm 27 years old myself, still living at home, and on top of all of that, I have a baby. I moved out a few times, then came back a few times. I'm lucky enough to have parents that care, and I'll never take that for granted. But I can't be 40 years old, still living at home, going nowhere in life. I've tried the 9 to 5. I dreaded it every day. I've tried remote work, and I even tried sales and spent real money on a sales course from some guys in Australia. Went hard and realized it wasn't it. I'm fully aware that if I would have just stuck to one thing, by now I would be a lot further ahead. Something about the routes I was taking just seemed off to me, and the only route that always felt real to me was content creation. I've always known that I was meant to build my own thing and not use all my time and talents to build someone else's. I totally understand that in life you do have to start off helping others, but at some point you gotta take a risk and go out on your own. At least that's been my mindset, and I found myself still stuck at home, still in the same spot. There's been plenty of moments where I feel like I've completely failed, and I'm just a failure overall. A failure as a son, a failure as a brother, and even a failure as a father. Even though I do pay rent, and I do actually help out around the house, so I'm not just mooching off my parents. I just can't help but shame myself for not being where I really want to be in life. I'm not saying I always feel this way, but there are moments when those thoughts start to creep in. However, despite all of this, I somehow always got back on track making content again. It's crystal clear to me now that this is what I'm meant to do, and that if I ever want to leave home, then I need to go all in on it, and eventually take a risk by just getting up and going one day, not sitting down waiting for the perfect moment. Everyone's telling Gen Z to move out like it's a moral failure if you haven't, but nobody's asking the real question. What are you building while you're still living at home? I will say this video doesn't really apply to someone who is living at home for reasons like aging parents or medical problems or passing family members. Honestly, that's a whole other topic and would require its own video. This really only applies to people who are just stuck at home with no purpose. It's also worth noting that moving out of your parents' house at 18 is only a recently manufactured expectation. It's not like the universal standard or anything. In fact, it's normal to stay with your parents in your 20s in other countries. This isn't an excuse to stay home, however, and never do anything with your life. It just puts things into perspective so you're not falling into the trap of, I'm running out of time, especially after seeing other people way younger than you and comparing yourself to them on things like social media. I also understand how expensive it can be to move out of your parents' place. If you live in the US, you're going to be paying at least $1,200 a month if you want to live somewhat comfortably. Otherwise, you're probably staying in the more sketchy parts of town. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but it's safe to say you probably don't want to stay in a poor neighborhood for the rest of your life. Let's use nature as an example. In nature, there are certain kinds of plants and animals that can only survive in certain environments. And some of us are like tropical plants trying to grow in the desert. But once you change your environment, you start to grow and thrive like never before, because your previous environment didn't have the right conditions for you to actually grow. You can't absorb new knowledge and wisdom if you're around the same people every day, doing the same old routine, going down the same path over and over again. The real problem here is not money. It's not opportunity. It's that staying home became the safe option that quietly killed your urgency. Comfort is the enemy of growth, and your environment has been comfortable for too long. I was 22 years old, thinking I had time. Then I was 25 years old, thinking the same thing. Now I'm 27 and I finally realized that comfort doesn't actually feel like losing. And that's exactly what makes it dangerous. You know you're not where you want to be in life, but you're okay with it because it doesn't immediately bother you. And the thing is, you're not actually lazy, you're just settled. Comfort has dulled your sense of urgency to change your life. If you look at a character like Gon from Hunter x Hunter, Gon grows up on Whale Island, raised by his Aunt Mito in a perfect, small, safe environment. It's genuinely a beautiful place. Nature, comfort, people who love him, but it's limited. His ceiling there is low, and deep down, he knows it. He had to leave his hometown to actually pursue his dream of becoming a hunter. When he left is when he started meeting new people and experiencing new environments, and he ultimately thrived because of it. Gon isn't running from Whale Island. He loves it. But staying would have meant becoming a smaller version of himself. The island shaped him. His home shaped him. The instincts, his connection to nature, the purity of heart. But it couldn't complete him. It couldn't turn him into that next level that he knows he needed to reach. He needed to experience the rest of the world to do that. What gets overlooked about this is the fact that Gon didn't just spend his time in his hometown being lazy and chasing dopamine. He was constantly challenging himself, and he actually grew to the point where he couldn't grow anymore. If you're still stuck in the same spot, you have to ask yourself if you're really doing everything you can to level up your skills. Because there's no excuses at the end of the day that can make up for lack of action. You can't complain about results you didn't get from work you didn't do. You can't blame your lack of success on your upbringing in your hometown. Your hometown made you. It gave you your foundation, your values, maybe even your voice. But at some point, the place that built you starts to limit you. Not out of malice, just out of simple limitation. Moving out isn't just a financial decision, it's a declaration. You're not running away from anything. You're creating the conditions for your wings to expand. You're putting yourself in a new environment that's going to allow you to learn and absorb new knowledge, new wisdom, new experiences, and ultimately lead you to becoming the person you know you can become. You know deep down inside that higher version of yourself is not a 25 to 35-year-old living at home with your parents, playing video games, probably watching corn and eating junk food all day long. You'll never find what you're looking for if you keep digging in the same places. There is also the notable fact that people who still live at home with their parents tend to have trouble dating. It's hard to feel confident when you're living at home, and it's hard for someone to like and respect you when you're still living at home with no ambition. It sounds brutal and it sounds unfair, but no matter how nice of a person you are, you're still going to get overlooked if you seem like somebody who still relies on their parents and can barely support themselves, let alone a partner or a family. So if you are in your 20s and you resonate with what I'm saying, then you know that moving out is not just about copying what everyone else is doing, it's about not staying stagnant in the same place, allowing yourself to be challenged and to grow, so that way your quality of life actually improves. It's time to really make some changes, and for me, that's being consistent with YouTube uploads, removing distractions from my current environment, and working towards standing on my own 2 feet to take care of my family. I'm curious, what's the one environment change you need to make in your life that would force you to level up? Let me know down below in the comments. And if you got value from this, then please hit that like button and consider subscribing. And remember to always keep your eyes open.